Dr. Shastri, I want to start today's episode with something that many parents have experienced. Imagine two students, both sit in same classroom, both have same teacher, both study same chapter, and both appears equally intelligent. Yet, when maths exam arrives, one student remain calm and other panics. One student's brain becomes sharper, whereas other student goes blank. Why does it happen? What is the difference between these two students?
That question fascinated me for years because most people immediately assume the answer is intelligence. But the more I studied students, the less convinced I became. In fact, I started noticing something surprising. Many students who struggled in mathematics were not lacking intelligence. Some of them were among the brightest children in the room. And yet, under pressure, their performance collapsed. So, I began asking a different question. What if success in mathematics is not determined only by what a student knows, but also by the condition of the brain that is trying to use that knowledge? Think about this way. A Formula 1 car is really powerful, but even the most powerful car cannot perform well if the engine is overheating. Similarly, a brilliant brain cannot always perform at its best when the internal conditions are working against it. That realization sent me on a journey that completely changed how I understand learning. And eventually, it led to something I now call BreathMath.
So, BreathMath was not born from mathematics itself.
Uh, it was born from much deeper question. Why do intelligent students underperform? And the answer surprised me because the solution was hiding in a place where almost nobody was looking.
So, what did you discover?
I discovered something surprisingly simple. Mathematics performance equal to knowledge into brain state. Notice something important. Knowledge is only one part of the equation. Brain state is the other. Let me explain. Imagine two students entering a board examination. As you said, both studied the same chapter, both attended the same tuition, both revised the same formulas, both have similar intelligence. Now listen carefully to the conversation happening inside their minds. Student A may be thinking, let's see how much I know. Student B is thinking, what if I forget? What if I fail? What if my parents get disappointed? What if my friends score more than me? What if I cannot get science after 10th? The question paper is the same. The intelligence may be similar, but the internal conversation is completely different. And that internal conversation changes performance. That was my first major realization.
So, what is education missing today?
Let me ask parents something. When a child struggles in mathematics, what usually happens? More tuition, more worksheets, more homework, more practice papers, more pressure. The assumption is very simple. The child needs more mathematics. But one day, I asked myself a different question. We teach children mathematics. We test children mathematics. We compare children mathematics in mathematics. But who is teaching children how to prepare the brain that learns mathematics? Who teaches attention? Who teaches emotional regulation? Who teaches stress management? Who teaches how to maintain mental energy? Who teaches how to calm the nervous system before an exam? Very few people. And that is when I realized something profound. We have become experts at teaching subjects, but we have forgotten to train the learner.
That is a powerful idea.
You think about a farmer. If a plant is struggling, the farmer doesn't keep painting the leaves, isn't it? The farmer looks at the soil, the roots, the water, the sunlight, the foundation. Yet in education, we often focus only on marks, not on the foundation producing those marks.
What is happening to student today that affects this foundation?
Today's class 8 to 12 student is growing up in a completely different world. When many parents were children, there was no Instagram, no endless YouTube shorts, no notifications every few minutes, no comparison with thousands of students online. Today, a child wakes up and immediately enters a world full of stimulation, messages, videos, reels, gaming, comparison, information, pressure, and then we expect the same brain to sit quietly with algebra for an hour. That is not easy. Now, add board exam pressure, competition, career discussions, peer comparison, family expectations. The brain is constantly switching, constantly processing, constantly reacting, and eventually mental fatigue begins to appear. This is not because students are weak. This is because their brains are carrying loads previous generation never carried.
So, Dr. Shastri, tell me where breathing enters the picture.
Exactly. Let's observe something very simple. Imagine you are nervous, breathing changes. Imagine you are angry, breathing changes. Imagine you are scared, breathing changes. Imagine you are peaceful, breathing changes. Every emotional state has a breathing pattern. Now, here is the fascinating part. The relationship works both ways. Your emotions affect breathing, but breathing also affects emotions. Your brain and your breath are constantly talking to each other every second, every minute, and every day. Now, I'm not saying breathing magically improves mathematics. That would be misleading. What I'm saying is that breathing influences the nervous system, and the nervous system influences attention, focus, emotional stability, and mental clarity. And those abilities influence mathematics performance. This is the connection that fascinated me.
So, how did all this become the BreathMath?
After studying about mathematics anxiety, cognition, yoga, breathing science, and student behavior, a simple truth emerged. Before improving mathematics, we must improve the learner. That became the foundation of BreathMath. BreathMath is not merely a mathematics method. It is not merely breathing exercises. It is not merely Vedic mathematics. It's a holistic framework. A framework that strengthens breath, attention, emotional regulation, working memory, mental endurance, and mathematical thinking. Because when the learner becomes stronger, learning becomes easier. And that changes everything.
That's nice. So, what would you like every parents listening to remember?
I want every parent to remember this. Behind every report card is a human being, a child with dreams, a child with fears, a child with hopes, a child trying to figure out life. Sometimes a child does not need another lecture. Sometimes the child needs understanding. Because confidence grows where understanding exists. And once confidence grows, learning becomes possible again.
That's so true. So, before we finish today's episode, I want to ask one final question. If Breathe Math focuses on strengthening the foundation of mathematical performance, what is the single most important foundation?
That is a fascinating question. Single important foundation. Because during my research journey, I discovered one hidden mental ability that influences almost everything a student does in mathematics. It influences attention, it influences concentration, mental calculations, maybe problem solving, following steps, understanding concepts, and even confidence. When this ability works efficiently, mathematics feels easier. When it becomes overloaded, students suddenly forget things they know. They make mistakes they normally wouldn't make, and they begin questioning their intelligence.
What is this hidden ability?
It is called working memory. And instead of explaining it, I want to show it. Because some lessons are understood better through experience than explanation. So, in our next episode, every student and every parent listening will participate in a live experiment. We will solve three addition problems together, one with single digit numbers, one with two digit numbers, and one with the larger numbers. So simple. First, we will solve them the usual way. Then I will show you a different method inspired by Vedic mathematics and breathe math principles. And something fascinating will happen. You will actually feel the difference inside your own mind. Less effort, less confusion, more clarity, more enjoyment. And for the first time, many students will realize something important. Mathematics is not always difficult because of the numbers. Sometimes it becomes difficult because of the way the brain is being forced to handle those numbers. Let me leave you with one question. What if changing the method could instantly reduce the load on your brain and bring a smile back to your face while solving mathematics? Let's find out together in episode 3 of the Breathe Math podcast. Experience it.